The alarm went off at 5:30 a.m. same as it had for 12 years. Logan West rolled out of bed, careful not to wake Rachel, and padded to the kitchen. The coffee maker gurgled to life as he stood at the window, watching the sun creep over their Louisville neighborhood. This was his favorite time of day. Quiet, peaceful, honest. In 30 minutes, he'd be at West Auto Repair, solving problems with clear solutions. "You're up early," came Rachel's voice from behind him, phone already in hand. "Same time as always, babe. Coffee's almost ready," Logan replied. Rachel scrolled through something, barely acknowledging him. "The Millers are in Cabo again. Must be nice to have money." Logan poured 2 cups, adding cream to hers. "They work hard for it." "Right, because that's the only way to make real money," Rachel said with an edge to her voice. "Some people get to travel, some people get to fix transmissions." The edge in her voice had become familiar lately. Logan handed her coffee, brushing a kiss against her temple. She didn't lean into him like she used to. "I like fixing transmissions, and we travel. Remember Gatlinburg?" Logan said. Gatlinburg, Rachel said it like a dirty word. 2 nights in a cabin that smelled like cigarettes. Meanwhile, the Millers are posting from a resort that costs more per night than you make in a week. The familiar knot formed in Logan's stomach. These conversations were happening more often, always about money, always comparing their life to someone else's highlight reel. "We had fun in Gatlinburg. Remember the moonshine tasting?" Logan tried. Rachel was already scrolling again. "I need to get ready. Department meeting, then drinks with the girls from work. Don't wait up." Logan watched her disappear down the hallway, coffee barely touched. He finished his own cup standing at the sink, looking at their small backyard. The fence needed painting. Little projects they used to tackle together, back when Rachel found satisfaction in improving their home instead of resenting its limitations. At the garage, Logan lost himself in work. Mrs. Peterson's Camry needed brake pads. Danny Rodriguez's pickup had a mysterious knock that turned out to be a loose heat shield. By noon, Logan had diagnosed 3 more jobs, his hands black with grease, his mind clear. "You eating lunch, or planning to survive on motor oil?" Mike Sutton dropped onto the stool next to Logan's workbench. They'd been friends since high school. "Just finishing the Morrison carburetor," Logan answered. Mike studied him. "Rachel still giving you grief about money?" "She's restless. Sees what other people have and wonders why we don't have the same," Logan explained. "My dad used to say the grass is always greener because it's fertilized with bullshit," Mike said. Despite his mood, Logan smiled. "Your dad was wise. Sarah's making chili tonight. You and Rachel should come over," Mike offered. "I'll ask, but she's been working late lately," Logan replied. Logan arrived home to find Rachel modeling outfits in front of their bedroom mirror. She'd changed 3 times. He could tell by the discarded clothes on the bed. "Going somewhere special?" Logan asked. "The work thing I mentioned. Want to look professional," Rachel said. She wore a dress he'd never seen, something that hugged her curves and hit well above her knees. The price tag was still tucked inside. $180. 0 cents. "That's a nice dress." "New?" Logan inquired. "I've had it forever. You just never notice what I wear," Rachel replied dismissively. Logan was certain he'd never seen it, but let it go. "What time will you be home?" "Not sure. Could be late. Don't wait up," Rachel said. She applied lipstick, a shade darker than usual. Everything about her preparation seemed excessive for drinks with coworkers. After she left, Logan stood in their bedroom looking at the chaos of rejected outfits. A receipt had fallen from the dresser. Nordstrom, $347.82. Purchased yesterday. They'd fought about the electric bill just last week. Rachel came home after midnight, moving quietly through the house. Logan pretended to sleep as she slipped into bed, but he could smell expensive perfume, something different than what she usually wore. The next morning, she scrolled through posts from some lifestyle influencer, documenting yoga classes, shopping trips, and elaborate brunches. "Must be exhausting," Logan said, nodding toward the screen. "What?" Rachel asked. "Having your biggest worry be which spa to visit next," Logan clarified. Rachel's eyes flashed. "You think this is a joke? These women work hard for what they have. They're entrepreneurs, building brands, making something of themselves. And what are we doing? Logan asked. Rachel set down her phone with force. We are stuck in the same house, same routine, doing the same things we were doing 10 years ago. When was the last time we did anything exciting? When was the last time we went somewhere that required a passport? We've been talking about Ireland, Logan began. Talking. Always talking, never doing. You know why? Because we can't afford it. Because you're content to fix cars while the world passes us by. Rachel interrupted. The words hit like a slap. Logan set down his coffee, studying his wife's face. There was something he'd never seen before. Not just frustration, but contempt. I thought you liked our life, Logan said quietly. I did. When I was 25 and thought this was temporary. But this is it, isn't it? This is all there is, Rachel replied with finality. Logan felt something fundamental shift between them. What are you saying, Rachel? She was already gathering her things. I'm saying I need more coffee. Oh, and I'm going to that conference in Atlanta next weekend, Friday through Sunday. Logan didn't remember her mentioning any conference. How long? Just the weekend. Corporate's paying, so... Might be good to get away, Rachel said. After she left, Logan sat at their kitchen table, surrounded by the comfortable clutter of their shared life. Everything looked the same, but something essential had changed. For the first time in 12 years, he couldn't shake the feeling that the life he'd built was slipping away. The house felt wrong the moment Logan turned into the driveway. Rachel's car wasn't there, but something about the emptiness seemed different, more permanent. The windows looked vacant, like no one lived there anymore. Logan had endured a hell of a day. The Morrison carburetor fought him for 3 hours, and Mrs. Patterson's transmission needed a complete rebuild. He was tired, dirty, and looking forward to a cold beer and whatever leftovers Rachel had saved him. The front door was unlocked, but the silence that greeted him wasn't normal. Usually he could hear the TV or Rachel moving around. Tonight, the house felt hollow. "Rich?" he called out. No answer. Logan kicked off his work boots and headed to the refrigerator, expecting to find a wrapped plate with reheating instructions. Instead, he found 3 beers, old Chinese takeout, and expired milk. That's when he noticed the note on the kitchen table. Written on their wedding stationery, Rachel's handwriting was neat, deliberate, like she'd practiced it multiple times. Logan, I know this isn't how you imagined coming home tonight, but I couldn't do this face to face. I've thought about this for months, and I've realized that I need more than this life can offer me. I met someone in Atlanta who can give me the kind of future I've always wanted. Real security, real opportunities, a chance to live the life I deserve. I know you'll say we could have worked on our problems, but the truth is, I don't want to work on them anymore. I'm tired of pretending to be satisfied with mediocrity. I'm tired of watching other people live while we just exist. Marcus owns 3 tech companies and has homes in Atlanta, Miami, and Aspen. He's successful in ways you'll never be, and he wants to give me everything you can't. I'm not sorry for choosing myself for once. I've taken what I need. The rest is yours to figure out. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce. I hope someday you'll understand that this isn't about you not being enough. It's about me finally realizing I deserve more. Rachel. Logan read the note 3 times before the words registered. Marcus. She'd written another man's name with casual confidence. 3 tech companies. The kind of wealth that made his garage seem pathetic. He walked through the house like a man surveying storm damage. Rachel's closet was half empty. Her jewelry box was gone. Expensive makeup she'd started wearing, all gone. But she'd left the everyday things. Old sweaters, worn jeans, comfortable clothes from her old life. His phone buzzed. For a wild moment he thought it might be Rachel. Instead, "Mike, you and Rachel want dinner tomorrow?" Logan typed back, "Rain check." Something came up. He tried calling Rachel. Straight to voicemail. Not even her voice anymore. He tried texting, "We need to talk," delivered but never read. Logan opened his laptop and searched for Rachel's social media. Facebook was blocked, but Instagram was public. The most recent post was from 6 hours ago. Her feet by a hotel pool, cocktail in frame, tagged at the Four Seasons Atlanta. Caption: New life, new adventures, so grateful for new beginnings. Dozens of likes and congratulations from mutual friends. Rachel had been sharing her plans with everyone except her husband. He scrolled further back, finding photos from the past month he'd never seen. Rachel at expensive restaurants, shopping in boutiques, with a man who had to be Marcus. Silver-haired, well-dressed, possessively touching Rachel's back in every shot. One photo showed Rachel wearing diamond earrings that caught light like stars. Caption: When someone shows you how you deserve to be treated. Posted 3 weeks ago, while Logan worked double shifts for their new roof. Logan closed the laptop and sat in the dark living room. Their wedding photos still lined the mantel. Rachel's romance novel, about a woman leaving her ordinary husband for a billionaire, was bookmarked on the coffee table. How had he missed all the signs? His phone rang. His mother's number. "Logan, honey, I just saw Rachel's Facebook post about moving to Atlanta. Is everything okay?" his mother asked. So Rachel had made it official. "Everything's fine, Mom. Just going through some changes," Logan replied. "Do you want to come over? Your father's making chili," his mother offered. "I'm okay, really. Just need time to process," Logan said. Logan returned to the kitchen and read the note one final time. "I hope someday you'll understand that this isn't about you not being enough. It's about me finally realizing I deserve more." The cruelty of that line hit like a physical blow. She'd framed her betrayal as personal growth, her abandonment as self-actualization. She wasn't leaving him for another man. She was leaving him for a better version of herself. He folded the note and put it in the kitchen drawer next to warranties and takeout menus. Then he opened a beer and sat at their table, listening to the house settle around him. By morning, Logan had finished all 3 beers and made a decision. He wouldn't chase her, he wouldn't beg. Rachel had made her choice, and Logan would respect that choice by making one of his own. He would let her go. But first, he would make sure she understood exactly what she was walking away from. Logan didn't call in sick. At 5:30 a.m., his alarm went off, same as always. He made coffee, drove to the garage, and pulled on his coveralls like any other Wednesday. Mike was organizing parts for a timing belt replacement. He looked up when Logan walked in. "You look like hell," Mike observed. "Rough night," Logan replied. "What have we got today?" Mike studied his friend's hollow eyes, the tight jaw, the way he moved like everything hurt. "Logan, what happened?" "Rachel left, found a rich guy in Atlanta, says she deserves more than I can give her," Logan explained matter-of-factly. Mike set down the belt tensioner. "Jesus. When?" "Yesterday. Came home to a note," Logan said. He was already walking toward Mrs. Patterson's transmission. "I'd rather just work today." For 8 hours, Logan lost himself in automotive repair. The transmission needed a complete rebuild, every gasket, seal, and moving part carefully cleaned and reassembled. It was methodical work, requiring complete attention, and Logan was grateful for the precision it demanded. Mike respected his silence, handling customers while Logan worked. Word spread quickly. By afternoon, 3 customers had awkwardly offered sympathies, having heard through the Louisville grapevine about Logan's wife leaving with another man. "Don't know what she was thinking," said Tommy Rodriguez. "You're good people, Logan." Logan just nodded and handed over keys. What could he say? That his wife had calculated their marriage's value against a tech entrepreneur's portfolio and found their life wanting? That evening, Logan visited Janet Mills, the attorney who'd handled their house purchase. Janet was 60-something, with silver hair and a no-nonsense demeanor. "I'm sorry this is why you're here," Janet said, reviewing Rachel's note. "How do you want to proceed?" "Quickly and fairly, she can have whatever she wants. I just want it finished," Logan replied. Janet raised an eyebrow. "Logan, Kentucky is an equitable distribution state. You're entitled to half of everything." "She doesn't want any of it. She wants her rich boyfriend to take care of her now." Logan's voice was steady. "Make sure she can't come back later claiming she changed her mind." "Emotions change. People get practical when excitement wears off," Janet warned. "Draft whatever papers you need, but make them ironclad. No surprises later," Logan insisted. Over the following weeks, Logan settled into new routines. He arrived earlier, stayed later, taking jobs he'd previously referred elsewhere. Extra work meant extra money, but more importantly, less time to think about the empty house. He started eating dinner at the garage, ordering takeout while working on side projects. Mike occasionally invited him over, but Logan usually declined. He wasn't ready for well-meaning sympathy or explaining what went wrong. Instead, he threw himself into improving the business. He researched diagnostic equipment, negotiated better parts deals, started a website with online scheduling. Work that had seemed good enough before now demanded excellence. The house was harder. Logan kept Rachel's things in boxes, not from hope, but because disposing of 12 years felt like work requiring more emotional energy than he could spare. But he made practical changes, utilities in his name only, updated bank accounts, began refinancing the mortgage solo. 3 weeks later, Logan received communication from Rachel's attorney. A polite letter requesting divorce proceedings begin promptly, as Miss Harrison was eager to move forward with her new life situation. Professional, cordial, completely devoid of acknowledgement that a marriage was ending. Logan read it twice, then filed it with Janet Mills' paperwork. Rachel wanted speed and simplicity. She would get both. Through mutual friends, Logan occasionally heard updates. Rachel had moved into Marcus's Buckhead penthouse. She'd been seen at charity galas, exclusive restaurants. Someone's cousin spotted her at Lenox Mall, shopping with apparent disregard for price tags. "She's documenting everything on social media," Sarah mentioned when Logan finally accepted a dinner invitation. "Every expensive dinner, every designer outfit, like she's trying to prove something." Logan nodded but didn't respond. What could he say? That his wife had traded their marriage for Instagram opportunities? The hardest part wasn't loneliness. Logan had always been comfortable with solitude. The hardest part was betrayal so complete it retroactively poisoned memories. How long had Rachel been unhappy? How many conversations had been lies? But anger was a luxury he couldn't afford. Anger was just another form of attachment, another way of letting Rachel control his emotional state from 300 miles away. Instead, he focused on what he could control: work, health, future. Logan started running again, something he'd abandoned when work and marriage consumed his time. He began reading books about business, philosophy, men who'd rebuilt lives after devastating losses. He learned to cook actual meals instead of surviving on pizza. Most importantly, he began remembering who he'd been before spending 12 years trying to be enough for a woman who would never be satisfied. The man who'd started his own business at 26. The man who'd bought a house, paid his bills, kept his word. 2 months later, Logan signed divorce papers in Janet Mills's office. The process had been remarkably simple. No contested assets, no property arguments, no custody complications. Rachel got her freedom and clean slate. Logan got everything else. "How do you feel?" Janet asked. Logan considered the question. Not happy, exactly, but not devastated either. Relieved, maybe. Like a fever had finally broken. "Free," he said. "I feel free." That evening, Logan sat on his back porch with a beer, watching sunset over the neighborhood he'd lived in 7 years. The fence still needed painting, gutters still needed cleaning, but those projects no longer felt like obligations. They felt like choices. His phone buzzed with a text from his brother. "Sarah told me about the divorce. You doing okay?" Logan typed back, "Better than okay. Starting to remember who I used to be." For the first time in months, that was completely true. Logan was under the hood of a 2018 Honda Accord when familiar footsteps echoed on the garage's concrete floor. He'd been fine-tuning the throttle body for 20 minutes, completely absorbed, when something made him look up. Rachel stood in the doorway, and Logan's first thought was that she looked smaller. Thinner, yes, but also diminished in ways having nothing to do with weight. The confidence from her Instagram photos was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear. She was still beautiful, but her expensive clothes looked worn now. Designer purse showed scuff marks, and her hair needed touching up at the roots. Most telling were her eyes, hollow, desperate, darting around like she was looking for escape route. "Hello, Logan," Rachel said. Her voice was carefully modulated, like she'd practiced this conversation. Logan straightened slowly, wiping his hands on a shop rag. It was lunch break. The garage was mostly empty, except for Mike in the office and Danny working on brakes 2 bays over. "Rachel," Logan replied simply. "You look good. Healthy." Rachel tried to smile, but it came out shaky. "I like what you've done with the place." Logan glanced around the garage, which looked exactly the same. "What do you want, Rachel?" She flinched at his directness. In the past, Logan had always let her control difficult conversations' pace. Not anymore. "Can we talk? Privately?" Rachel asked. Logan nodded toward the back office. Mike looked up as they passed, his expression carefully neutral, slight shake of his head saying, "Don't do anything stupid." Rachel sat across from Logan's desk, the same desk where he'd signed divorce papers 8 months ago. She folded her hands and took a deep breath, like preparing a rehearsed speech. "I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I thought I wanted something different, needed more than what we had. But I was wrong, so completely wrong," Rachel began. Logan leaned back and waited. Rachel had always been good with words, knew how to craft arguments that made her sound reasonable and sympathetic. He was curious to see how she'd frame this narrative. "Marcus wasn't who I thought he was. He was controlling, possessive. He treated me like a trophy, not a partner. Everything had to be his way. What I wore, where I went, who I talked to," Rachel continued. She touched her left wrist unconsciously, and Logan noticed a faint yellow bruise below her sleeve. "It was hurt," Logan stated as fact, rather than asking a question. "Not at first. Everything was perfect. The lifestyle, travel, excitement. But gradually, it became clear I wasn't a girlfriend. I was an accessory. Something pretty for his arm at business dinners and charity events," Rachel explained. Rachel's voice cracked slightly, and Logan could see tears forming. A year ago, those tears would have destroyed him. Now he watched with clinical detachment, like observing weather patterns. When I told him I wanted to leave, he laughed, said I could go any time but wouldn't be taking anything with me. The clothes, jewelry, car, everything belonged to him. He said I was just another gold digger who'd gotten too comfortable," Rachel continued. She wiped her eyes, smearing mascara. "So I left, with nothing. My parents won't talk to me. They're ashamed of what I did to you, to our marriage. My friends think I'm a cautionary tale. I have no money, no job, nowhere to go." Logan absorbed this without comment. Rachel interpreted his silence as encouragement and leaned forward, voice becoming urgent. "About being with him made me realize what I'd thrown away. You never tried to control me, never made me feel like an object. You loved me for who I was, not how I looked on your arm. I know I hurt you, broke your trust. But what we had was real, Logan. 12 years of real love and partnership," Rachel said. Now she was crying openly, makeup running down her cheeks. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for another chance. I'm asking you to forgive me and let me come home. We can rebuild what we had, make it stronger. I've learned what really matters." Rachel reached across the desk, trying to take Logan's hand. "I'm still your wife, Logan. In my heart, I'm still your wife. This past year has just been a terrible mistake that I've learned from. Please tell me it's not too late." Logan looked down at her hand covering his. Her wedding ring was gone, probably sold or left behind. Her nails, once perfectly manicured, were bitten to the quick. This was Rachel stripped of all props and costumes, reduced to desperation. "You're not my wife," Logan said quietly. Rachel's face went white. "What do you mean? Of course I'm your wife." Logan opened his desk drawer and pulled out a manila envelope. He had been carrying it for months, waiting for this moment without believing it would come. He handed it to Rachel, who opened it with shaking fingers. The divorce decree was official, final, notarized, and filed. Rachel's signature was right there next to his, authorizing their marriage's dissolution. She stared at the documents like trying to read a foreign language. "This is dated 8 months ago," Rachel whispered. "That's when you signed it, through your attorney. You said you were eager to move forward with your new life situation." Logan's voice was perfectly calm, reciting facts. The divorce has been final for 8 months. You're not my wife. You're my ex-wife. Rachel looked up from the papers, face a mask of shock and growing panic. But I never meant for it to be permanent. I thought it was just paperwork, something we could undo. When what? When your rich boyfriend got tired of you? When you realized trading up wasn't as easy as you thought? Logan leaned forward slightly. You made your choice carefully, deliberately, publicly. You documented every step on social media. Logan, please, Rachel began. You left me a note on our kitchen table. You said you weren't sorry for choosing yourself. You said you hoped I'd understand that you deserved more than I could give you, Logan continued. Rachel's face crumpled, ugly sobs racking her body. I was stupid, selfish. I got caught up in the excitement and money and lost sight of what was important. But I know better now. I know what real love looks like. Do you? Logan stood, walking around the desk. Because real love doesn't leave a note and disappear. Real love doesn't block phone numbers and post photos designed to hurt. Real love doesn't plan an exit strategy for months while lying every day. Rachel looked up through tears, and Logan could see the exact moment she realized begging wouldn't work. Her expression shifted, desperation transforming into something harder. You owe me something. 12 years, Logan. 12 years of my life. I made a mistake, but that doesn't erase everything we built together, Rachel said. I didn't throw you away, Logan said calmly. You threw yourself away. Now you're facing the consequences. Rachel stood abruptly, chair scraping concrete. So, that's it? You're just going to let me have nothing while you sit here feeling self-righteous? I'm going to let you handle your life the same way you handled ending our marriage. On your own, without consulting me. Logan opened the office door. You chose independence, Rachel. You chose to bet everything on a man you barely knew rather than work on a marriage with someone who loved you unconditionally. Now, you get to live with that independence. Rachel stared at him, cycling through emotions. Disbelief, anger, calculation. Finally, she seemed to settle on one last, desperate manipulation attempt. What about forgiveness, Logan? What about second chances? You used to believe in those things. You used to be a good man, Rachel said. I'm still a good man. Good enough to let you make your own choices and live with consequences. Good enough not to enable your belief that actions don't have permanent results, Logan replied. Rachel grabbed her purse and pushed past him toward the exit. At the doorway, she turned back. You'll regret this. When you're old and alone, you'll remember you had a chance to forgive and chose revenge instead, Rachel said. Logan watched her walk to her car, a beaten Honda Civic, probably all she could afford now. This isn't revenge, Rachel. This is just Tuesday. After she drove away, Logan returned to the Honda Accord's engine bay. His hands were steady as he reconnected the throttle body, test-started the engine, and listened to it purr with perfect idle. Mike appeared with 2 cups of coffee. You okay? Logan accepted the coffee and took a long sip. Yeah, I'm okay. She looked rough, Mike observed. She made her choices. Now she's living with them. Just like the rest of us, Logan replied. Rachel didn't leave quietly. Over the next 2 weeks, Logan's phone rang constantly with calls from unknown numbers. When he finally answered one, expecting a customer, Rachel's voice came through high-pitched and desperate. Logan, please, just listen to me for 5 minutes. I know you're angry, but we can work through this. Logan hung up and blocked the number. An hour later, another unknown number called. He let it go to voicemail. The messages were variations on the same theme. Rachel had learned her lesson, understood what she'd lost, was willing to do whatever it took to earn forgiveness. The tone progressed from pleading to angry to threatening as days passed, and Logan failed to respond. Thursday evening, while replacing brake pads on someone's Toyota, his mother called. Logan, honey, I just got off the phone with Catherine Harrison, his mother said. Logan's stomach clenched. Catherine was Rachel's mother. She's very upset about how you're treating Rachel. Logan stepped outside the garage bay. How I'm treating her? She says Rachel came to you asking for help, and you turned her away without listening. She says Rachel is desperate, has nowhere to go, his mother explained. Mom, did Catherine mention why Rachel needs help? Did she explain what happened to Rachel's marriage? Logan asked. Silence. Then, She said Rachel made some mistakes, but that was a year ago. People deserve second chances. Rachel got her second chance. She chose to spend it with a millionaire in Atlanta instead of working on our marriage. Logan's voice was calm but firm. I didn't create her situation, and I'm not responsible for fixing it. Bowed Logan, she's family, his mother protested. No, Mom, she was family. She stopped being family when she left a note on our kitchen table and moved in with another man. Logan could hear his mother's sharp intake of breath. Did Catherine tell you Rachel had been planning her exit for months? That she blocked my phone number and posted photos of her new life while our divorce was being finalized? No, she didn't mention that, his mother said quietly. Rachel made her choices as a grown woman. Now she gets to live with them as a grown woman. I'm not her safety net anymore, Logan concluded. 2 days later, Rachel's father called. Logan, this is Bill Harrison. I think we need to talk, came Bill's direct voice. Bill had always been direct, a trait Logan had respected. He was a retired construction foreman who valued hard work and straight dealing. Hello, Bill, Logan replied. Catherine tells me you refused to help Rachel when she came for assistance. That doesn't sound like the man I know, Bill said. Bill, what exactly did Rachel tell you about why she needs help? Logan asked. She said she made mistakes in her marriage to that fellow in Atlanta. Said he turned out different than she thought. She's trying to get back on her feet, Bill explained. Did she mention how our marriage ended? Logan pressed. Silence. Then, she said you two grew apart. Problems on both sides. Logan felt anger at Rachel's revisionist history but kept his voice level. Bill, Rachel didn't just leave me, she planned her exit for months while lying to my face every day. She left me a note saying she deserved better than I could provide. She moved in with another man and posted photos of their life together while our divorce was being finalized. The silence stretched longer. Finally, Logan, I didn't know all that. I didn't badmouth her to anyone, Bill. I handled our divorce quietly and moved on. But I'm not going to rescue her from the consequences of her own choices, Logan said. Bill's voice was quieter. She's our daughter, Logan. Whatever she did, she's still our little girl. I understand that, and I don't wish her harm, but she's not my responsibility anymore. She made that very clear when she left, Logan replied. The following Monday, Logan arrived at the garage to find Rachel's car parked outside. She sat on the hood, still wearing expensive clothes that now looked shabby, makeup carefully applied to hide crying. We need to talk, Rachel said as Logan approached. No, we don't. Logan unlocked the garage bay and began raising the door. Logan, I know you think I deserve this, but I'm going to be homeless. Literally homeless. Is that what you want? Rachel asked. Logan turned to face her, and for a moment, he saw the woman he'd married. Not the calculating stranger who'd left, but the scared young woman who'd once shared his dreams. What I want is for you to take responsibility for your choices. You're not homeless because of anything I did. You're homeless because you bet everything on a man you barely knew and lost, Logan said. But you could help me. Let me stay in the house until I get back on my feet. Loan me money for an apartment, Rachel suggested. I could enable you to avoid consequences of your actions. I could teach you there's always someone to catch you when you fall, no matter how deliberately you jump, Logan replied. Rachel's composure finally cracked completely. What is wrong with you? Where is the man I married? The man who believed in forgiveness and second chances. Learned that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. He learned that forgiveness doesn't mean erasing consequences. And he learned to tell the difference between helping someone and being used by them, Logan answered. He sat down with Orloff and Penn at Helpers at midnight on the floor. Logan walked into the garage and Rachel followed. Fine, she said, her voice taking on a harder edge. If you won't help voluntarily, maybe I need to explore other options. Maybe I need to talk to a lawyer about what I'm entitled to from our marriage. Logan stopped working and looked at her with something approaching pity. Rachel, you already talked to a lawyer. 8 months ago. You signed away any claim to anything from our marriage in exchange for a quick, clean divorce. Without I was under duress. I wasn't thinking clearly. A judge might see it differently, Rachel countered. You were under duress from your eagerness to start your new life with your wealthy boyfriend. Logan pulled out his phone and scrolled through photos until he found what he was looking for. Here's your Instagram post from the day you signed the papers. Officially single and ready for my new adventure. So grateful for fresh starts. Rachel stared at the phone screen, her face going pale. You documented your happiness about ending our marriage, Rachel. You celebrated it publicly. You can't undo that now just because your adventure didn't work out, Logan said. Rachel stood in the middle of his garage, surrounded by the honest work that had defined Logan's life while she was chasing fantasy, and Logan could see the exact moment she realized her situation was truly hopeless. No legal recourse, no emotional manipulation, no social pressure would change the fundamental fact that she had destroyed her safety net. I hope you're happy, she said finally, voice thick with tears and rage. I hope this revenge feels good. This isn't revenge, Logan replied, returning to his work. Revenge would be me actively trying to hurt you. This is just me refusing to save you from yourself. Rachel left without another word, and Logan never saw her again. Through mutual friends, he eventually heard she'd moved back to Ohio to live with a cousin, found work at a department store, and was slowly rebuilding her life from nothing. Logan felt no satisfaction in her struggles, but no guilt either. Rachel had made her choices as a free adult, and she was facing consequences as a free adult. 6 months later, Logan was closing the garage when Mike approached with an envelope. This came to the shop today, Mike said. Thought you should see it. Inside was a handwritten note from Rachel, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio. Logan, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know that I finally understand what you were trying to teach me. I'm working retail, living in a studio apartment, and starting over at 34 with nothing. It's hard, but it's honest work, and I'm learning to live within my means. I don't expect forgiveness, and I'm not asking for help. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand the difference between wanting more and needing enough. You tried to show me that for years, and I was too selfish to listen. I hope you're well. I hope you find someone who appreciates what you have to offer. Rachel. Logan read the note twice, then filed it away with other documents from his past. It was good to know Rachel was rebuilding her life, good to know she'd learned something, but her struggles and growth were no longer his responsibility. That evening, Logan grilled a steak on his back porch and watched the sun set over the neighborhood he'd called home for 8 years. The fence was freshly painted now, the gutters clean and functional. His business was thriving, his debts manageable, and his future entirely his own to determine. Logan had learned something valuable. Sometimes the most destructive thing you could do was consistently save someone from consequences of poor choices. Real love sometimes meant letting people face the full weight of their decisions, even when it was painful to watch. As stars came out over Louisville, Logan felt the deep satisfaction of a man who had kept his integrity intact while everything fell apart. He'd been tested by betrayal, tempted by revenge, and pressured by well-meaning friends and family to compromise his principles. He'd done none of those things. Instead, he'd simply moved forward with quiet dignity, building a life based on his own values, rather than trying to rescue someone who'd chosen to tear down everything they'd built together. That, Logan reflected, was probably the best revenge of all. Not bitter retaliation, but the simple act of thriving without the person who'd believed she was irreplaceable. 6 months later, Logan had heard through the grapevine that Rachel moved back in with her parents in Ohio, working retail and slowly rebuilding from nothing. He felt no satisfaction in her struggles, but no sympathy either, just distant acknowledgement that people face consequences of their choices. Logan's life had taken on richness he never expected. His business continued growing, he'd developed deeper friendships with people who valued loyalty and hard work, and he discovered interests suppressed during his marriage. While he remained open to love someday, he no longer sought it from a place of need or incompleteness. He reflected on the difference between revenge and justice. He'd never sought to hurt Rachel or actively punish her. He'd simply refused to rescue her from consequences of her own choices. Sometimes the most devastating response to betrayal wasn't retaliation, but the quiet dignity of moving forward and building something better. The final image was Logan closing the garage at the end of another honest day's work. knowing tomorrow would bring its own challenges and satisfactions, and that he had everything he needed to meet them. Not because he had everything he wanted, but because he'd learned to want what actually mattered. The rest was just Tuesday. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.